Good day. I'm Mike Lavitt, Director of the Aviation Week Photo Contest. With me is Lisa Caputo, our Art Director and one of the contest's judges. The Aviation Week Photo Contest is in its 34th year, and the winners are now live at aviationweek.com/photo-contest. Lisa has been around since the beginning, and I got involved in the early 2000s when digital photography was replacing slides. Since then, the contest has become a bigger part of my life here. I tell our judges that the day they meet to select the winners is the most fun I have at work all year. Lisa, we had more than 1,100 entries this year and may well have set a record. What really stands out for you as we look at the winners and editors' picks?
I think we had a lot more quality in the entries this year as far as interesting setup of photos. We had a degree of professionalism. The photos were sharp. They were varied. We had new subject matter, which is things we like to look for. We don't like just a picture of an airplane and a blank sky side view. You want some kind of landscape, something happening in the photo, something of interest, something that tells a story. So there was a lot more of that. We want things we haven't seen before, especially in space. We have a lot of close-up launcher shots one year. The next year we want to see something different, the airport shots, commercial aviation. So I think it's a good variety we had this year. And we've picked out a couple of images that we're going to talk about. I don't know when you want me to go over to that now?
Sure.
This is a defense editor's picks that we chose, and this is exactly what I was just talking about. This is almost a beautiful landscape with an airplane in it. It's got clouds, it's got shadows, it has beautiful color, it has a variation of different aircraft. That's the kind of thing that I myself and the judges find extremely interesting. I don't know if you have anything to add to this one, Mike. I'm just going to toggle to the next.
One thing I'll add just in general is this one had really good caption information with it too. And that helps as the judges are making their selections to have a better idea of what they're seeing. This was a big multinational military exercise in Latin America involving more than 3,000 people and about 100 aircraft. So getting that context, I think, can make a difference.
And it's very interesting to our readers because that's what we do all year. We're given a lot of information. Although the photo issue, we don't always want what we do all year as far as art. We don't want the cover to look like we do all year. We want special. But yes, the information is so important. These aren't in any particular order. This is a commercial shot, and as you can see, there's not much more to say about this than it's just so well done. It's so beautiful. It's the reflections in this picture are gorgeous, and the photographer he hit it at the right moment.
And this photographer worked in journalism for a number of years before joining Boeing and working on their flight test team. So he had a lot of experience shooting too. And it's interesting too because it's a 737 MAX 10, which is going through what Boeing hopes are the final stages of its certification.
This is another defense, and this was a second place win. And although we've seen rotorcraft shot from this angle, above the water, ripples, different situations like that, this was different, the way the color just bled through to the landscape. The judges loved it. They found that very interesting. And, there's a lot of motion and it's a bird's eye view. And that's kind of why this one rose to second place defense.
Right. One of the judges said it's really hard to get the rotor, the disc, and do it well.
Yeah.
And here you see it, and you see the colors of the rotor as it spins.
Well, here's another motion shot. So this is something the photographer did with their shutter speed, but the reason why I like it is it's commercial. It's a beautiful picture of a commercial, airplane. It's got speed, motion, light. It's exciting, and that's why we chose this photo. So this was a commercial editor's pick. We picked it for. Technique was used here. That's a reason why this one was one of the ones that stood out to us.
And the same photographer had another
Yeah.
photo that you're planning to share. I don't know if you want to go to that one next, but you can see this person likes to do interesting things with light.
So
And
this was a general editor's pick, and you know, the, this photo, it has color, it has scale, it has good composition. It makes you feel like you're gliding. It's very evocative of that. So this is a beautiful picture, and that's why we chose it as an editor's pick. So here's another exciting commercial photo. And so this was from our photo illustration category. So this one also has great technique, and it's evokes the busyness of an airport, the light, the motion, the commotion, and it's just a really interesting photo. It's almost like a piece of art.
right.
We've had these in years past. It would be interesting next year to see maybe something like this, but not from the same angle. We don't like to run the same kind of shot every year. You know, that might not place as a judge thing. If it was taken maybe from the runway or somewhere else different, that would be interesting to us.
Yeah, they say that imitation is the greatest form of flattery, but not always in the photo contest, because we've seen this before with other types of photos too. Somebody does something really unique that we've never seen before, and the next year we get a half dozen entries from other people with
Yeah.
similar shots.
And we don't want a copy of last year's winner. We want
Right,
we want something new and exciting.
right. And this one was taken also by Chris Goulet, who took the photo of the American aircraft that
Mhm.
you showed a
So,
minute or two ago.
so this was a space winner, and it's beautiful, it's symmetrical, it's got a lot of excitement, it's got and the thing that makes it the most interesting, obviously, is it's got a vulture in there flying by. It's two forms of flight, and he got caught right in the frame in a perfect spot.
And
So,
and caught is probably the right word. I don't know what happened to that vulture, but it couldn't have been good between
uh,
the flames and the heat and the shock wave of that
uh,
of that
I'm
launch
I'm
vehicle taking
I'm
off.
gonna hope he was a tough bird and got away. So this was a winner of general. This was actually first place, and the the big thing that our judge loved about this was the scale, and that person that's just sitting in there, he kept saying, I've never seen anything like that. And he's one of our judges who likes to see a story told. And I think, Mike, you can talk about this a little more than me, but that this is an old aircraft being moved to its final place where it's going to
Right.
be.
This is a Martin aircraft flying boat. It was called the Philippine Mars, and there were only about 6 in the series. They each had different names, and they were made during or immediately after World War II. And this is one of only 2 remaining. And the photographer, Ashley Askew, said she really tries to form a relationship with the people who are giving her access or whose aircraft she's portraying, and that helps her get closer to helps her get to her subject. It was stored for about 17 years on Vancouver Island in Canada, and this was the beginning of a ferry flight to take the aircraft to the Puma Air and Space Museum in Tucson, Arizona. And so it was a 2-day trip. And interestingly, the Philippine Mars doesn't have landing gear. It cannot land on a runway. So it was landed on a lake not too far from the museum and then disassembled and moved by road to the museum in pieces where it's being reassembled and will be on display. So it'll be interesting how they interpret that.
Yeah, and that kind of it speaks to the point of a picture telling a story. It's a whole story behind this, and it's really interesting, and the scale of it, and so that's what made this one a winner. This is the photo illustration category. This shot of a U2, and we just thought it looked like like an impressionist painting. It's just beautifully colored, the sky. It looks like a piece of art.
It's a category that we introduced about 3 years ago, and we've had trouble defining it and telling the photographers what we're really looking for. And so it's been a little uneven. We're going to tighten that up for next year. But Lisa, I think this last year's winner was from the photo illustration category, last year's best of the best. And you were really happy with this photo. I remember you saying that this is what you were thinking of when we created the category.
Yeah, to make something beautiful out of it, not just to throw just a weird filter on something, you need to do a little more, and it just works here. It works. Space. So, I mean, this photo is just so interesting to look at. It shows you the science of the flight. It shows you the physics of it, and there's a lot of motion and drama and excitement in it. And that's why this one's a winner. And it's not something we see all the time, you know?
It's also interesting because this was the 10th Starship flight, the SpaceX Starship, 10th integrated flight, and it accomplished all of its major goals. SpaceX had a hard time getting what it wanted out of this, accomplishing those goals, but this one managed to do it.
And
you
it
can see
managed
the
not to
shockwave.
yeah, exactly, the vapor. And it managed not to duplicate all those other Starship, right? The other pictures, because there's been so many that are shot from the same angle or the same look. So it's a little more interesting and
It
new
was.
to us.
One change we're making for next year is the photo contest will open during Sun and Fun in mid-April, which I've done for several years, but then I've left it open for about a month and then closed it until Oshkosh. And this year I realized there's no reason to close the contest. So we're going to open it in mid-April and we'll leave the contest open until mid-October so that people can enter at any time they want. Also, when you submit a photo to the contest, you're giving us the right to print your photo in the magazine, to use it online in galleries, to do something like this video. But what we will not do is you're not giving up any of your other rights. You still own the photo. We do not redistribute photos. We don't give people permission to run the photos. I do get emails from people who are interested in buying the photo. I just forward the emails onto the photographer and let the photographer connect with the person who's looking to get the photo. So I think that's an important point because photographers justifiably are very protective of their work. And it's what we talked about today. It's originality, it's creativity, and it's the technical quality of the photos too.
And one last thing we should mention, Mike, is that we're always looking for a beautiful cover, and we don't always cull it from, say, one of the winners. We need a good vertical shot that's really exciting on our cover. So photographers, take note.
Yeah, well, I've urged photographers at Sun and Fun and at Oshkosh for the last few years to turn their cameras sideways if they want to be on the cover of Aviation Week. Most importantly, we need to tell people how to get to the photo contest. So it will go live at aviationweek.com/photo-contest on Friday, December 5th, and it will be in the December 8th issue of Aviation Week in Space Technology if you're a subscriber to the magazine and read it either when it ends up in your mailbox or if you access it online. So thank you for joining us today. I want to thank our producer, Jeremy Karaoke, for all his help today.